Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers. And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, Season 13, Episode 25. He's Dave Bryan. I'm Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com. Glad you guys are back with us here for this Friday show as the Pittsburgh Steelers are coming off their second loss over the last 5 days, losing to the Cleveland Browns 29-17 on Thursday night in Cleveland, dropping the Steelers to 1-2 on the year. So, Dave, if you thought things were bad after the Patriots lost, they got a whole lot worse last night after a pretty poor showing overall against the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, that was a team loss, wasn't it? If you ever seen one, for sure. All three phases had some issues for them, and now you're 1-2, and you got at least some time off here before your Week 4 game. But as we've already pointed out several times, man, you got a pretty strong gauntlet of games coming up. And who knows we'll see what the Jets are on Sunday, whether or not underestimating or overestimating them with Flacco at quarterback there. But there's no such thing as a must-win game this early in the season. But you really were kind of hoping that they could get one in Cleveland Thursday night, and kind of a tale of two halves, if you will, on the Steelers side of the football, especially when it comes to the offensive side there. The defensive side, look, you knew what you had to do in this game defensively, and that was stop the run, that two-headed monster of Chubb and Kareem Hunt. And they just couldn't do it. I mean, they were consistently gashed by both of those backs most of the night.
Honestly, it really felt like a repeat of the Patriots game with a pretty close first half. Pittsburgh leaving chances on the board, especially late in the first half, as they did against the Patriots. And then second half, the Browns were just flat out the more dominant team, the more physical team. They ran the ball really effectively. They wore Pittsburgh down. The Steelers offense continually went 3 and out. And just as the Patriots did, the Browns really got their run game going and controlled time of possession and just, the absolute dominance of that second half. It was very much, big picture, a copy and paste from week 2.
Well, that offensive line of theirs is something, isn't it? I mean, they can run anything that you ask them to do. That's Bill Callahan, right?
Yeah, you think of the Browns as a zone scheme, but they're not. I mean, they can be, but they can be anything. I mean, they
Sure.
pull their guards better than maybe any team in football, and their pin and pull scheme was doing work last night.
Their ability to pull, and you know how I love watching that. Not necessarily against the Steelers, but you know how I like to watch the guards on the move, or any offensive lineman for that matter on the move. And I think that's the misnomer about them, is they can run anything that they need to run at any given time. And Nick Chubb's not a guy that's going to probably win some 40-yard dash races, but that guy can see a hole and can one cut and go, and he's got the power. Man, how many times in that game last night was he either hit behind the line of scrimmage or right at the line of scrimmage and just dragging people with him for another 2 or 3. His yards after contact's got to be up there this year. And then the Steelers obviously helped him out a few times on some flat out missed tackles that they probably should have made. But it seemed definitely in that second half of that game that like the field was slanted, and they were just running downhill and just wore the Steelers defense down to a nub there with the run.
Sure, they played bully ball, and let me get the actual second half time of possession. Browns had the ball for 19-24, Pittsburgh just 10-36. The last 2 games, I believe the opposition has had the ball for, I don't think it's something like 70 minutes compared to Pittsburgh's not 70 minutes. And so a stark contrast there where your defense can't get stops and your offense immediately goes 3 and out. 3 straight second half drives, Dave, of the offense going 3 and out. That has not happened in a game. 3 straight second half drives going 3 and out since 1998 for the Steelers. And so, it's just a combination of all issues where your defense gets worn down and it snowballs on you. And again, the Browns were easily the more dominant and physical team in the second half of that game.
The Steelers' time of possession average through 3 games is 24 minutes, 10 seconds.
Not good. Not great, Bob.
Right. And, look, I don't want to take anything, that running game was so good. And that's what we've kind of highlighted here. But I tell you, they should have heeded your advice and maybe got Jacoby Brissett instead of Mitch Trubisky, right? He looked he's not, very efficient, and obviously a good running game can make a quarterback some decisions a lot easier, especially when you're staying ahead of the chains and putting yourself in a favorable position. But I really thought Jacoby Brissett played another really efficient game, and there was a couple more throws that I think that could have been caught. Man, that bullet that he threw to Amari Cooper, that might have been in the end zone. If not, it was going to definitely be an explosive play. And I think that one just bounced right off of his face mask there. But a couple of throws, I mean, Jacoby really seemed to be able to read what he was looking at just fine. Know right where to go with the football, got the ball out fairly quick. Once again, I think that's kind of been the MO on him heading into this third game for the Browns on top of it. But it looks like the Browns investment in Jacoby Brissett it has been a lot better than the Steelers investment in Mitch Trubisky through 3 weeks.
Sure. While both teams are dealing with new quarterbacks and changes there and not having elite level players, obviously, the Browns have an identity offensively. They know who they are. They know they're going to run the ball. They know their offensive line is going to win the line of scrimmage. They know they're going to stay on schedule, and that builds off of play action. That 3rd and 1, 32-yard gain to Cooper is a great example of that. Pittsburgh naturally biting so hard on the play fake there. And Brissett really was efficient, as you said, and accurate, really had some good balls and has played really well overall the last 2 weeks against the Jets last week and now against the Steelers. So they've been able to manage the quarterback change much better than Pittsburgh has, in large part because of that ultra-effective run game.
And look, we've talked quite a bit about the Steelers' need to push the football down the field and heading into this game. One thing that I highlighted was that the Browns haven't had to do that. With that running game, though, you don't really need to as much. But it just goes to show you that there are different ways to win in the NFL offensively. You don't have and look, for all the stuff we talked about the Steelers in the deep shots here, I bet after week 3 here that Mitch Trubisky is in the top 5 in the NFL in deep pass attempts at 20 yards or more. So they're trying to push the football down the field. It's just, he's not, hitting on these throws at a high enough percentage to make the risk reward factor, play into this. But, it's not like the Browns are lighting it up with deep pass attempts because they don't have to.
Right. But yet ultimately Brissett threw for more yards than Trubisky on essentially the same number of attempts. I mean, Trubisky did push the ball vertically and had 32 attempts, but he threw for barely more than 200 yards, which tells you the inefficiency. And it's not all on him, obviously. I mean, I think one of the turning points of this game was that Deontay Johnson, I would call it a drop on that 3rd down deep shot, which was a beautiful pass by Mitch Trubisky that just, sifts through Johnson's hands. And that's not the easiest play to make, but it's certainly one that Johnson can and should and needs to make for this offense. The receiver room all week talking about, we got to make plays, we got to get chances. Well, there's your chance. There's your opportunity. And that was a big missed one at that. I think the 2 biggest plays that cost Pittsburgh in this one was A, that Johnson drop, and then B, the flag on the Jaylen Warren shovel pass, where I don't know how they get an eligible man downfield. That's a play they rep all the time. So I don't know what the heck happened on that play. But, not to rewrite history here, but if you put those two plays in Pittsburgh's favor, the outcome of this game may be entirely different.
Yeah, look, because you got the ball back in the third, you got the ball back or first in the third quarter there. You actually are running a few before that quarter started. I put on Twitter, boy, it'd be a great time for like an 18-play touchdown drive, Mitch. Keep the ball away from the Browns here, drive the entire length of the football field, put 7 points on the board. And at first, they got aided by I think a too many man penalty, like 4 plays into the drive. But they were at least moving the football, having a little bit of doing it with run and pass on top of it there. And then you get that shovel passer on a 2nd and 14 at midfield, and it looks like it pops pretty good. And silly ineligible man downfield on a core 4 on that. Then you're in a 2nd and 19 situation. You get 14 yards of that back to Deontay Johnson to set up a super manageable 3rd and 5 situation. And then you throw incomplete, to Chase Claypool over there to the left side. And there's, offensive pass interference and obviously gets declined on that. Then all of a sudden you're punting from that situation there. So I don't know what Tyler Wise is going to choose as a turning point for his article, which, by the way, if you guys hate, there's several great weekly articles that I don't even really know what they are until they kind of hit. That's one of them, along with Tom's 10 takes. But man, yeah, I don't know how you don't circle that drive and that play in particular as maybe the turning point in the game.
Sure. Pittsburgh has had chances to take more control of these games to get points. And I think that's a great example of that. You come out of the half, you have the lead, and you could really, push things in your favor and start maybe working game script a little bit later in that quarter to your advantage. And that did not happen. And then you talk about the inability to score late in the first half. Pittsburgh with 2, I wouldn't say prime chances, but 2 chances to at least try something, both against the Patriots and the Browns. And you can't even attempt a field goal in either of those situations. So 2 minutes situationally, which I know it's condensed time and, they had 30 seconds or so and they're around the midfield or so. So it's not a guarantee, but just not able to steal some points late in halves. And man, Dave, this team needs to steal some points to be able to get 3 late in a half just to, put something on the board, because this offense is not going to naturally put up, 35 points a game. So a lot of missed opportunities is kind of the phrase of the day for the Pittsburgh Steelers offense.
Yeah, look, and up until that final possession, I think of the first half, Mitch Trubisky was, was okay, up until that point. Very, very efficient and, connecting on a few throws there. I thought making some good decisions overall. Forget what the ESPN stats and info stat was on him outside the pocket, but I liked his decision on the read on the touchdown there and keeping it himself there. I thought that was a good decision, and I thought overall up until that final possession of the first half there that he played well. But I mean, he was nowhere close on some of those throws down the football field. When like you said, you get the ball back in the first in the second half there, and you talk about having opportunities to double up, right, with possessions and as you said, maybe steal 3 points there, and they obviously couldn't do it. And then fast forward as we just went through in the first possession of the second half there. Not only do you shoot yourself in the foot on that drive, but then you punt the football away, and then Cleveland goes 14 plays, 70 yards on you for a field goal in that situation. And then the 3-and-out start. And really the game at that point, I mean, after the third 3-and-out, at that point, you started to wonder, I don't think they're going to be able to move the football much of any. And while they did late there, and to me, it kind of felt more of, Cleveland just not wanting to get beat up over the top or the big play and that kind of thing. But, even then, the Steelers couldn't punch it in and got inside the 2-minute warning. I did not fault. I mean, I didn't have an issue with it was 4th and 1 there, but with 1:51 left, I was okay because you need 2 scores there, right? I was okay with,
sure.
And you're going to have to get the onside kick, right? So,
right.
I was okay with taking the 3 points there because even if you got the 4th and 1 in that situation, the time's going to tick on you, So
yeah, I think it's most people were probably pretty happy or pretty okay with kicking the field goal.
Yeah, I think a lot of them aren't.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, we'll see what the email machine says here, but it really felt like the game was over after that. Really, after that second 3 and out, I mean, they couldn't do anything from that point.
Right.
And look, you hate to boil down to some key stats here, but you go 1 and 9 on third downs, and you don't have. If you go 1 and 9 on third downs, and you're not taking the football away from the other team, on top of it, it's probably going to be makings for a long day, and that was the case. And several of those third downs were manageable third downs that they did not convert.
Right. What are some of the third downs? I mean, the first drive, you got a 3rd and 5 incomplete. Next drive, 3rd and 8, so that's a bit tougher. Next drive, I mean, they were at their best when they just avoided third downs altogether. I'm trying to see other maybe third down field conversions.
I'll sort this for you here in a moment. Let you know.
Yeah, the incompletion you mentioned after the ineligible penalty, that was one of Canada's favorite rollouts, and it doesn't work quite right, and there's the flag on that, so you punt off of that. So I mean, obviously, 3rd and 3, they throw the deep ball to Johnson, which went through his hands. So certainly opportunities there, but as you said, last 2 games, Pittsburgh's forced only 1 turnover. They've lost a turnover battle in each of the games against the Patriots. They were -1, and they were -1 again against the Browns last night. And so Pittsburgh needs to win the turnover battle in their favor to be able to compete and be able to win, because that's kind of their blueprint. And right now it's not happening.
Let's see. They went 3rd and 5, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10. Did not convert any of those 3 to start the game. The 1 third down that they converted in this game was a 3rd and 9 from their own 17.
Claypool's catch, right? Along the sideline.
Right. Claypool's catch there. So it went 3rd and 5, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 5. And there was a penalty. That was the Claypool. It was an incomplete pass. That was the Claypool PI. 3rd and 3. 3rd and 10, 3rd and 15, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 5.
So, I mean, you have several in there. I don't know how many exactly, but several 3rd and 3s to 3rd and 5, stuff that should be able to be converted. So aside from the first half of the Patriots game, the third down offense this season has been terrible. They were 4-15 in the opener. They were 1-4 in the second half against the pass, and they were 1-9 last night. So whatever that totals to is abysmal. And you're not going to sustain drives that way when you're converting at, 30%, if that, on third down.
You mean overall as a team right now?
Right. I mean, if you tried to exclude the first half of the Patriots game where they did do a decent job, beyond that, they've been at a really, really poor clip.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Very, very poor overall here. And look, you got to come, those 3rd and 5s are at least, manageable to some degree. You got to convert some of those.
Right. So overall on Trubisky, your thoughts, as you mentioned, a better first half. There was improvement, and he took some more chances. And when he saw cover one and single high, he took his chances on the outside. Is there anything that tells you this team's making a change of quarterback?
0.0.0.
Same. And Mike Tomlin asked after the game, the question was, are you considering it right now in terms of making really any changes? But Tomlin saying definitively no to considering any changes right now.
Look, I mean, there was a little bit of promise there before that final drive of the first half, but he just couldn't hit anything in the second half until that final field goal drive there, where once again, I think you're going to see, we'll see what the all 22. I mean, they're pretty much kind of playing off a little bit there, not giving up the big home run. They probably had visions of that Jets game running through their head, right? Especially when it got into the onside kick situation there. And look, I mean, the offensive line once again, I thought played pretty well overall, right?
Especially in the first half, they were getting a really good push. I thought overall the run game was getting going and getting some level of traction. Thought James Daniels did well. The pass protection has not been bad. I thought Myles Garrett made some plays, occasionally that may not always show up on the box score. But through 3 games, I have not charged this offensive line for a single sack, which is a sentence that I did not think I was going to say entering the season. So, they're not great, but they've been playing at least at an average level, which relative to expectations is really, really good. So it's hard to fault that group in particular for being the issue of this team.
There were a couple of nice running lanes in there, Sure. They now look when you compare them to the Browns' offensive line, it's night and day. Man, those guys can zone. Those guys can reach block. They can double team and get to the next level. I mean, really, really impressive. But from where we were talking about this offensive line heading into the season to where they are now with the Steelers, it's good enough that they should be having better results offensively, especially when points on the scoreboard are concerned.
Right. But when you're 1-9 and you're not getting a ton of explosive plays, you're getting some, but not enough. Those are, as you said, that's what it comes down to. This offense is not a well-oiled machine that's very well established. And so they have to have big plays. And they got that from Pickens with that incredible catch early, but they had some chances that were negated. Again, the shovel pass that would have been a explosive play that gets called back, the Deontay Johnson opportunity, 3rd and 3, deep ball left sideline. That's a clear opportunity that's missed. They have to have those. There is no margin for error there, and they're making all the errors.
Yes, they are. And once again, and look, how many explosive runs did the Browns have in this game? And we always talk about how not only are explosive plays needed, but if you get them on the ground, that's stealing, right? I mean, that's if you get them that way. They had, believe it or not, they only had 3 explosive plays, the Browns, in this game, but one of them was Chubb in the first quarter of that 36-yard run, which Witherspoon had a shot at that, right?
Sure, right in the hole. But Chubb's, to me, the most talented back in football, are right up there, and made Witherspoon look silly.
The other 2 were to Cooper, explosive plays. They did have a couple of runs, or 2 more runs, I think 13 and 16 by Chubb. But anytime you get an explosive run in a game, it feels like you're stealing, especially when it's almost a double explosive run, which was the case with Chubb. And in fact, I think if he doesn't trip over his own guy coming down the block, he might have gone all the way on that one. Go back and look at that one again there. But they matched the Browns in explosive plays 3-3.
Didn't feel like it. Tell you that much.
It didn't feel like it. It felt like, and the pile was always moving forward. It felt like with those running backs as well too. So the Steelers kind of matched them, and in fact, I think the Steelers outrushed them in the first half, didn't they?
I believe so. They were sitting around 90 or so rushing yards, I believe, after the first half, I want to say.
Let me pull up the first half stats here. 88-79.
Okay. What the Browns did in the second half, though, while they didn't necessarily get the big explosive chunk plays, they stayed on schedule, and they do that as well as any team. Just for example, the touchdown drive that ended in the Nick Chubb 1-yard score midway through the fourth quarter. 1st and 10, they get 5 yards. 2nd and 5, they get 4 yards. 3rd and 1, they get the play action to Cooper for 32. 1st and 10, Chubb for 16. 1st and 10, Hunt for 8. 2nd and 2, Hunt for 1. 3rd and 1, Brissett for 6. 1st and goal from the 8, Hunt for 5, Hunt for 2, and then Chubb punches it in. And so that's just one example, one snapshot of, you get the 16-yard run by Chubb, but you're just always on schedule. That works on play action. That keeps your offense going. It grinds Pittsburgh down. It controls time of possession. And that's really the story of the second half.
Your whole playbook is open to you when you're like 2nd and 4 and 3rd and 2, right?
Exactly. And they have that great run game to run whatever they want and play pass off of it. And that's their whole blueprint. And they stayed true to their game plan last night.
And what did they have? 3 quarterback sneaks in this game?
I believe so.
In short yardage situations that were just very easily converted.
Yeah, Brissett does a great job of finding the bubble where there is no defender in that gap. And, Pittsburgh didn't have anyone in the A gap, I believe, for the first 2. And they put 2 D tackles in the A gap for the next one. And then Brissett goes B gap off left guard. I think he gets 6 yards on that play. So very efficient. They're very Tom Brady-esque on quarterback sneaks.
And once again, I have to look at time to throw stats, but it seemed like Brissett was getting the ball out a lot quicker than Trubisky was overall. And they sacked him just twice in the game, and 4 quarterback hits in total. 2 by Alex Highsmith, 2 by Larry Ogunjobi, as far as quarterback hits went. And they just 4-man pressures just weren't getting it done. And when they did send numbers, it was they, for the most part, seemingly getting carved up pretty good in there. Terrell Edmonds, not a great game for him in coverage. Witherspoon Cooper was just doing what he wanted there. And they got a little bit lucky on that one over there on the right side where Cooper was the illegal touching, I think, on that one over on the side over there. He was just getting eat up over there, double moves getting turned around, all like that. And they just didn't have an answer for that passing game.
Right. Their run game made it harder to rush the passer, and the opportunities to rush the passer, guys rarely won their blocks. And Pittsburgh sometimes were trying to send 5 on that first Cooper touchdown. They send 5. They're playing cover 1 and doesn't get home. And so
Too
you're
soft.
more vulnerable in the back end. Edmonds playing with bad technique, allowed 2 red zone touchdowns in this game. I mean, Amari Cooper went for 101. He could have gone for 170 in this game. If he catches that deep ball off that illegal touching and catches that slant pass, he probably has at least $150 in that game, maybe a second touchdown. So, he's kind of a forgotten number 1 receiver because he was that first receiver domino to fall in this crazy market this offseason, but he was cooking Witherspoon. He was cooking Edmonds, and it's been a really bad start to the year for Kelly Witherspoon. And he's hurt now too.
Yeah, and I was kind of worried about, I mentioned kind of worried about how he would be in his second season here, and so far it's not great for him.
No, we should mention the injury report and just some pregame roster moves as well. Kelly Witherspoon, the only name mentioned by Mike Tomlin after the game. He left in the second half with a hamstring injury. Don't know his status. We'll see if he can play against the Jets. I don't want to speculate too much. And then in terms of roster moves, Delonte Scott was elevated for the second straight week and played a handful of defensive snaps as the Steelers' number 4 outside linebacker.
They need to get TJ Watt back soon, but obviously he's got to miss the next two games. Malik Reed's pretty much non-existent on that other side over there. I know Jameer Jones got some snaps in this game. You wouldn't have known it though, right?
Right. They were actually trying. They didn't really run a lot of 3-3-5, I don't believe, in this game, but they ran some 3-4 where they had 3 inside linebackers on the field. So Spillane, Bush, and Miles Jack. I don't know exactly how many times they did it. It was at least on one drive. They're trying to find ways to not utilize their edge guys that much, which is an admission of we really don't trust these guys to play at a high level.
Right. Jameer Jones, 5 snaps on defense. Delonte Scott, 9 snaps on defense. And obviously Malik Reed played a chunk, 57. Highsmith played 68. Now Highsmith's doing everything you want him to do, on that other side. He got that Freeney spin down, doesn't he?
He has abused Wills with an inside spin for, I think, 3 years. I'll have to go back and put a cut up together. I mean, he just kills Wills on that inside spin counter. The other thing with Watt is, whenever TJ Watt goes down, the immediate focus understandably goes to the pass rush aspect. But Watt is so good against the run and so good backside pursuit, and you're missing that dearly. And it is certainly not a coincidence that not only has your pass rush tanked the last 2 games, your run defense has really struggled as well. And when you go from Watt to Malik Reed in terms of getting off of blocks and defeating tight ends and shooting backside, you're missing all those elements, and that's really hurting this team.
And that's what we talked about last week, right? I mean, it's a Captain Obvious statement to say, oh, they missed Watt in the pass rush and all like that. But what he does against the run is even that much, that's what really separates him.
Right. He's a complete player and has to be accounted for front side, backside. And the way that you slide protect and pass pro, I know the Patriots did it in week 2, but on 3rd down, they're sliding to Hayward. I'm guessing the Browns did similar. Because you can just have Highsmith, or you can have Malik Reed singled up because he's not the threat, obviously, that TJ Watt is. So a big domino effect there, obviously. And I understand they're trying to do all they can to, replace TJ Watt. That's not going to be with just one man. So they're running 3-3-5 against the pass. They're running this 3 inside linebacker grouping. So, that's to be expected. And I get that, but it just has not been effective.
And how many times over the last couple of years have we said, man, we've been worried going into the right before the start of the season, saying, man, they wish they'd get a better number 3 outside linebacker. And obviously they, it looked like they had a little something there with Melvin Ingram, but he didn't like his playing time and off he went. And this off season, I mean, there was a time we were talking about Derek Tuska being the number 3 in this defense, right? For a little period of time there. They obviously traded for Malik Reed. What's your thoughts about Malik Reed after a handful of games here?
I mean, it's been okay. It's obviously asking a lot to try to, step into TJ Watt's spot. And I'm sure we're a little biased just based on what the expectation of that position usually is. I mean, he did have one good run stop and he got held and he's gotten off of blocks occasionally, but he's just a smaller guy. He gets swallowed up, and it just, it's okay, but okay is not what the Steelers need when you go from Hall of Fame level type play, all pro level type play in Watt to just average at best. I mean, the drop off there is obviously significant.
All right, I guess we're about 40 minutes or so into this thing, and we haven't talked about that George Pickens catch yet. How about that?
Yeah, a little bit of good news. I mean, that was one of the more absurd catches that you're ever going to see. And I'm sure, people have, and we can, if you want, debate what was better, Odell versus Pickens, but I don't really care which was better. That was an incredible play. And that's why you throw George Pickens the dang ball, because you let him make plays like that. And at first, did you think he caught it? Because I didn't think he did. I thought the ball went out of bounds just initially before I realized that they were calling that a catch.
No, I thought he caught it. I was trying to find the bottom half of my jaw. Incredible, man. I mean, and you will see that thing compared to the Beckham one. Obviously, I thought Pickens was even more impressive.
Did you?
Overall, to be honest with you, but that was a hell of a catch. I mean, you talk about go back to post draft and some of the things, small body control in a big player body, right?
Right. So I do think Odell's was slightly better just because he's falling backwards. But I mean, either way, they were both, catch of the year type moments.
Yeah, if we see a better catch around the NFL, that might end up being ESPY, right?
It might be. I mean, I'd be surprised if something was able to top it.
Mark, write that down.
I will.
Good to see Montravius Adams get his hands up on one, knock it down. What are we missing here? Pat Freiermuth did not get his first target until like 8 minutes or so left in the game. Found that a bit surprising.
Especially once the Browns lost their top 2 linebackers in JOK, and unfortunately Anthony Walker seemed to suffer a pretty serious left leg injury. He was in an air cast, and that came later in the game, but still he thought there were some opportunities, and didn't happen until very late in the game.
Yeah, I mean, you can't exploit that, and that was early in the second half, right?
Yeah.
That they lost the second one.
Right. Now, Frymuth was chipping a lot in this game and helping and think on Garrett. So I'll have to go back and check, what his role was. So that may have, mitigated things a little bit. But, Frymuth obviously did not get involved until pretty late.
How many drops were in this game by the Steelers wide receivers? At least 3, right?
Well, Deontay had 2. There was the screen, which he took his eyes off of. And then I would call that third down one a drop. And then Claypool had one that was probably, you could very much debate. Don't know if there was another one.
Let's see here. They've got George Pickens down for 2 drops.
2 drops. I'm trying to think what those were.
Trying to think what those were as well, too. PFS got him down for 2, and they've got Deontay down for 1.
Well, he should have at least 2.
Right.
I mean, I assume they have to count that screen as a drop because that's clear as day. I guess they're not counting that deep ball as a drop, but to me, I am.
Mm-hmm. That went right through his hands, didn't it?
Right. I mean, that you can't throw that ball better. Give Trubisky credit on that play.
I'm trying to go through my head and remember I can't remember the Pickens drops.
Are they counting that sideline one that he went up with one hand that was almost picked as a drop? I don't know if they were or not.
I don't know. It doesn't. It doesn't. They don't list the plays here. Okay. So, and I've only gone back through the TV tape once.
Certainly, still a pretty strong level of frustration, and you could feel that with Pickens, especially. It felt like he was getting a little upset with Frisman Jackson at the end of that play there. So, the more you lose, the more these frustrations will boil over, the more media chatters there's going to be. And so that's honestly a bit of a concern going forward when you have guys that are frustrated and, you don't want anyone to check out. You hear Trubisky continually say, got to buy in, got to stay focused, and phrases you don't want to hear 3 games into a year.
Yeah, and Deontay wasn't happy there at the end of the first half for sure. And, yeah, there's you lose like this, and some of these guys aren't getting the ball the way they think they should, and kind of this splintering is, they'll say their actions will say one thing, and then they'll immediately after the game say something that can easily be taken out of context, and then they spend the rest of the week saying, we trust the quarterback.
Right. So it's a mess. Obviously, there's really no other way to describe it. Again, this offense somehow less productive than where it was last year. Again, slow starts. I mean, I know they did score on the first play of the second quarter, but they've now gone 7 of their last 9 games without putting up a point in the first quarter, and they have 13 total points in the first quarter of their last 9 regular season games. So the slow starts continue.
Look, Mitch Trubisky is who we thought he would be.
Yep.
I mean, the stripes on the tiger haven't changed at all, and for everybody saying want definitive thoughts on should this team go to Pickett. I mean, the obvious reply, and I know from you wanted him you thought he should start right out of the chute there, and yes, they should go to Pickett, but they're not going to. So we could spend 30 minutes every show talking about how they need to bench Trubisky for Pickett, but what good is that going to do?
Not much. And as I've said, Tomlin's going to show more patience with Trubisky than anybody else in Pittsburgh. And to be fair, Trubisky was not the reason why this team lost last night. I mean, his play waned in the second half, and you're frustrated by the end of half inability, and that miss of Deontay at the end of the first half was pretty brutal. So I'm not, giving him a total pass here, but there are other reasons of why this team lost this game and other opportunities that were missed that were not at Trubisky's feet. And the mobility that he had was impressive. He made some plays. He extended some plays, had that quarterback zone read for a touchdown. So they're going to stick with him for week 4. And I think he will be the guy for, again, longer than people think. That's been my approach before the year began, and I have not changed on that one iota.
Yeah, look, I've said bye week probably is the best, probably the best percentage-wise bet of when something might happen. And, if they go out and they beat the Jets, every game that they win here in the next couple of weeks is just going to prolong stuff like that. Cause Tom's not going to go away, come from Trubisky coming off of a win, so I guess if you're sitting there listening to this, hoping that the Steelers go away from, bench Trubisky, then your fandom should go on the toilet. And you should hope that the Steelers continue to put 14 points up, 17 points up a game, and lose some ball games here.
Yeah, what's his offense scored in the first 3 games just on their offense? 16, 14, and 17. I mean, what era are we playing in right now? 1980s?
Yeah, yeah. Look, you could get away with that in 2004,
Right.
Maybe. Obviously, they had an offensive line and a running game that was conducive to a quarterback throwing the football just 25 times a game, right?
And an elite level type defense in an era where teams weren't putting up 40 burgers the way they do today.
Right. And now in today's NFL, your pass defense has to be acceptable. You obviously have to stop the run, but you got to be able to push the football down the field. It's all about explosive plays and turnovers. It's all about that.
It is. And you're not getting either of those things post TJ Watt. You're getting the pass rush in that first game without him. They've had 2 quarterback sacks and 7 quarterback hits the last 2 games. And part of that's because the Patriots and the Browns have stayed on schedule with their run game and not had to throw the ball in a lot of 3rd and long situations, but still there's opportunities to get home and that's not happening. I mean, Cam Hayward, I thought played well against the run, but as a pass rusher, he's been so quiet. And again, some of that may be extra attention his way, but he's not heard his name a lot as a pass rusher.
And look, have they really played a team yet? I mean, I suppose the Bengals, which Burrow was, pretty awful in that game, but these last 2 games, you didn't go into this thinking, man, how are they going to stop the pass?
Right. No, I mean, you got some really good, when you play the Dolphins coming up here, when you got to face Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, how are you going to deal with that? So you're not playing the most explosive offenses here. You got Buffalo in a couple weeks. How are you going to deal with that?
Oh, Lord.
So, no, your point taken. I mean, last night it's not a season-defining loss. They were 1-3 last year, and they climbed out of that hole. In theory, they could do it again. I think it'll be much harder this time, but it was a season feeling. The tenure of the season was hanging so much on last night. You go 2-1, you're leading the North, you beat the Browns, you're 2-0 in division play on the year. You're feeling pretty good, and now you lose, you're 1-2, and the whole just again tone of the season feels the shift.
And you can play the glass half empty as well too, and say they're a blocked extra point away from, an injured long snapper away from being 0-3.
Sure, I mean the margin of error,
despite getting 5 turnovers in a game. And what did we say before the season started with this team? They're going to have to run the football extremely well. They're going to have their defense take the football away on a consistent basis, and they're going to somehow have to find a way to register 4 to 5 explosive plays a game.
And they are, since week 1, doing none of those things.
Right.
So pretty simple. And again, situational football, 1-9 on 3rd down, not taking the football away, not getting off the field, not going to win that way.
Unless something, as much as you want to work on the minutia on this thing right now, the little things that is killing this team on both sides of the ball, how much better is it going to get? How much better can it get?
Yeah, it's hard to be that confident. I think this defense at best is going to be a good, not great type level defense, especially without TJ Watt, and that's at best. And the offense at best is going to be sputtering with occasional flashy plays and a lot of crap in between.
Right.
And by the way, this
special teams, that Boswell, I don't blame that on Boswell. That thing looked like it was first kick looked like it was going in, and the wind took that one right away. Boswell's about all you have. How many field goals a game can you expect him to hit from 50, 55 yards out,
We might find out. We might get our answer at some point this year. Should shout out both Miles Killebrew and Miles Boykin for some strong special teams play. Killebrew had a partial block punt. Man, who's better at getting after those punts than Miles
Alex,
Killebrew?
let's not talk about that. Special teams don't matter.
No, never. But Boykin, great coverage as well. I think one of those guys should make a Pro Bowl this year, in my opinion.
And let's see, what else was there? Special teams wise, I mean, they obviously no real returns in this game.
What did you think about the Tomlin punt on 4th and 6 from their own 10 with, let me get the time here, 4:27 left? They were down.
Yeah.
Were they down 23-14? The score was.
Yeah, that was the end of the third consecutive 3-and-out, right?
Yes.
Your defense is already hey guys, I know you're out of gas and you can't stop the run. Get back out there.
And to their credit, they did get a stop, but I thought that was a wave the white flag moment for Mike Tomlin.
Yeah. They haven't gone for it on 4th down this season, right?
They have not. That's a good point. And for a team that's 1-2, that's surprising.
And was it who was it that wrote Living in His Fears? Was that you?
Matthew wrote that.
Oh, Matthew.
It was a good article. Yeah, good article.
Good post by good old Matthew Marksy there. It does seem like he's living in his fears, doesn't it?
Yeah, I understand they're backed up, but the way you were getting run on 4th and 6, I think you have to go for it there. And again, they got the stop, so Tomlin can say, "Hey, we got the stop," and they got a field goal and all that, but.
Yeah, his argument will be is we made it a 1-possession game, and even the onside kick, you're an onside kick away from making it super interesting.
And they almost had the onside kick.
Mm-hmm.
Now Pickens was offsides; he ran early, so it wouldn't have counted. But yeah, you had a chance there. So, but obviously, all for naught. Dave, through 3 games, the Pittsburgh Steelers, just in terms of plays that actually count, not even plays that are negated by penalty, the Steelers defense has been on the field for 231 snaps in 3 games, an average of 77 per game. Yes, the Bengals, skew that number a bit, but still, it was the Patriots had 66 and the Browns had, I believe, 71 or 72. Last night, and really it's probably more than that when you factor in some penalties and things like that. So this defense is probably going to set a record for snaps played.
Yeah, and you're going to wear people out that way for sure, because you do have a couple older guys on in there, Aluwalu, Hayward, obviously, so you better find a way to elongate some drives, or if you don't, you better explosive play them into the end zone.
Yeah, so really just a lot wrong, a lot terrible.
I mean, it's gone exactly kind of how we mapped it out, right? I mean,
right.
what they needed to do in order to win ball games, they're not doing, and that was the fear, and that's why I had them 9-8, and while you had them, I think 8-9 or something like that.
Didn't you have them at 8-9 too? I both had 8-9.
I'm
pretty sure you had 8-9.
Prediction.
I'm trying to help you because I think I'm going to be closer to being right than them being above 500.
All right, I'll have to go back and pull up that post here. Let's see, season prediction. Oh no, that was you. Where's my post at? Here's mine right here.
I mean, at this point, we both might still be generous, regardless whether we're picking 8 or 9 wins.
No, I did have 8-9. You're right.
Okay, I thought so because I knew we were holding hands was the phrase that I used there. So.
I mean, right now I'm kind of wondering if they're going to win 8 games.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, we might have been generous on that.
And once again, you hate to say must-win game week 4 of the season, but man, when you look at that schedule of games in the last week alone has really turned into, that's not what I looked at, I don't think, at first, kind of feeling there because of the way the Dolphins are playing, the way the Eagles are playing specifically in there. Right. So, yeah, you get this long break against the Jets, and after that game, you go Bills, Buccaneers, Dolphins, Eagles before your bye week. I mean, you're going to lose a few of those games at least.
Yeah, I mean, the Bucs don't look as good, but the Dolphins and Eagles look a lot better than people thought. Although I will say the Eagles were my Super Bowl team in the NFC, so I'm feeling decent about that right now.
Boy, they Hurts looking good right now for sure. So I mean, once again, you hate to say week 4 of the season must-win ball game, but it's the way this team's playing right now without TJ Watt. This team is 0-6 now.
That's a crazy stat you tweeted.
I know. And I mean, you just look at the stat that they had up there last night with TJ Watt, 52, 24, and 2 points per game allowed, 20.4 sacks per game, 3.5 with TJ Watt since 2017. Without TJ Watt, and this was during the broadcast, so it didn't take into account the final, here. But going into the game, 0-5 without TJ Watt, 25.8 points per game allowed, and 1.6 sacks per game.
Yeah, I had that stat, something similar after the Patriots game. And since 2017, there's only been 3 games in which the Steelers have not recorded a sack. TJ Watt has missed 2 of those and basically missed all the other one, which came against Minnesota, in which Watt got hurt early in that game. So, I mean, it's night and day when he's in versus when he's not. And again, there's the run game component as well. I'd be curious on the run game numbers with him out of the lineup compared to him playing.
Who would you most like to ask a question to if you had access to anybody right now, coaches or anything right now? Who would you most like to ask a question to, and what would it be?
Well, that was my first thought, is what should I ask? What would I ask? I don't even know, because it just feels so it's not mystical why this team's struggling when you can't get off the field on defensively. You're
it's
1-9
more than
on
just
third
popcorn
down.
Is what you're saying, right?
Right. It's the whole, I can't think of any popcorn related analogy here. It's the whole bag of popcorn. So I don't know what I would even ask, because I mean, they're not turning the ball over. They're not getting a pass rush. They're not, they're keeping opposing offenses on schedule. The Steelers offense is inefficient overall. I mean, it's not like I'm struggling for reasons why this team is not winning.
Yeah. And they'll continue to hammer Tomlin about when he's going to make the quarterback change, but you would think that his definitively no would at least put some people into place, but it's not going to stop. And Mitch is going to continue to be asked questions. What took him so long to get into the media room last night? Think he was dreading it or what?
I don't know. I mean, it probably didn't take as long as we thought it would.
Right.
Our clock works differently, knowing that we don't want to be up till 5 a.m. So we're probably a little more anxious to get that started than Trubisky is.
All right. Where else now?
Let's see. I had a thought and I lost it. So yeah, just not great overall. So I don't really know.
What do you think about what do you think about the tight end blocking so far?
It's been all right, I guess, but not quite as good as I thought it would be. But I haven't examined it too closely.
Let's look at some initial PFF grades here. Have a little fun. Trubisky was the highest graded offensive player.
Yeah, that might be a little
80.3. Might be a little generous. He wasn't awful. It's just he didn't make plays past going into the final drive of the first half. He just really didn't make any significant plays past the first half of football.
Sure, but again, I mean, a lot of opportunities missed. Again, that ineligible man downfield call. Again, the throw to Deontay is one that really I circled pretty heavily. When exactly did that happen? That 3rd and 3 to Deontay? That was second half? Yeah, 123, third quarter. Yeah, and then the Browns have a touchdown drive on the ensuing possession.
Okay.
So, and that was a turning point in the game to me. I mean, I think the Browns were up, 16-14 at that point. So, I mean, then the touchdown by Chubb put them up 2 possessions and really let them control the game the rest of the way.
Mediocre Mitch is just that,
Right. He is who he is. I mean, that's what you
Right.
said. That's what we said. And it's not always a bad thing. This guy made some plays, but, you
need more around him if that's what you're going to go with.
Right. You need a great run game like the Browns have. You need a great defense. If you had those components, you could make it work, but you don't have those components. And so it's not working.
Mason Cole, second highest graded offensive player in the Browns game at 79.3. The lowest graded offensive lineman in this game. Take a guess. This is shooting. I mean, this is blind shooting right now because you probably haven't even rewatched the game, have you, or not?
I have not at all.
Right.
Aside from going through the film room stuff for the morning, I'll say Kevin Dotson.
Nope, he's next to last.
I know Dan Moore got bullied on the 1 rep by Myles Garrett. Are they going to say Moore?
Yeah, Dan Moore. So goes Mason Cole, James Daniels, Chikwama Okorafor, and I'm sure his is slanted because of the penalty, for sure. Right. Kevin Dotson, and then Dan Moore Jr.
I know Dotson was called
George Pickens, 56.8 grade. Ooh.
I mean, it was pretty quiet after that, crazy.
Well, they got him down for 2 drops, so I would imagine that plays heavy
true.
into it. If that, let's flip over to the defensive side of football real quick here.
Devin Bush I wonder what Bush's grade is. He seemed to do all right on a day where you allowed a $170 on the ground.
I think missed tackles. Oh, I know there was 1 missed tackle in there. Okay. And he didn't grade out very well at all. 47.9. The coverage, it looks like, got him there. He's got a 43.6 coverage grade in this game. 3 receptions, 33 yards they have him down for.
I wonder if that's just all the zone because, again, Pittsburgh, and Dave, stop me if you've heard this one before. Pittsburgh struggled defending Cleveland out of empty.
What?
They tried zone early in the game. Brissett picked him apart. I mean, he hit Njoku 4 straight plays or something like that. I mean, Njoku came into the game with 4 receptions. I believe he ended the day with 9 receptions against Pittsburgh alone. They tried going man against empty later in the game, and that's when Cooper got that 28-yarder with Witherspoon in the slot. So they tried man, they tried zone, they tried blitzing, nothing worked.
Is that a situation, boy, they could have used DeMonte Casey in this game?
Well, Casey wouldn't have been playing in those packages because Pittsburgh's in their base defense, so I don't think Casey would have played a factor.
Well, I mean, what I'm saying is, might you not have used base in a few of those situations?
I don't know.
Were those 1st and 10 plays or what?
Yeah, if they were 1st and 10, I mean, they were, 13 personnel, 12 personnel type stuff. I don't think they would have gone with that 3 safety package there. We should mention, by the way, I should have mentioned this earlier, DeMonte Casey is suspended for 3 games by the NFL for violating the substance abuse policy. Of course, he remains on injured reserve, so he should serve that suspension essentially while he's on IR. So it's not really, that significant in terms of what the Steelers are projecting, but should obviously note that for that suspension.
The biggest byproduct of that, quite honestly, is the Steelers get a tiny bit of cap room back.
Oh yeah, right. He's the forfit salary. Okay.
Right, but he's on a split salary too. So
True.
It's minuscule. But here's a question for you. When Casey does come back, what do you think about putting him in there for Edmonds?
I don't think that's going to happen. I think they could lean on maybe some of the 3 safety stuff more. Trey Norwood's not playing a lot because, last night there weren't a lot of dime opportunities and his tackling and run defense isn't that great. So I think it'll expand some of the sub package stuff that they can do or different, big packages stuff. But I don't think, Edmonds was not very good last night, but I don't see them making a swap.
Okay.
I'm guessing Edmonds, Witherspoon did not grade out well. They were probably on the poorer end of things.
Oh yeah. Witherspoon, 47.3, Edmonds 48.5. They obviously have Edmonds charged with 2 touchdowns.
Right. Who graded out well? Did Highsmith or Ogunjobi?
Oh, Highsmith, yeah. Well, Killebrew graded out the highest one. Okay. Only played five snaps here. Alex Highsmith, 73.0. Cameron Sutton, 72.3. Nice pass breakup over there on the side by Cameron Sutton, taking out the legs of Njoku, I think it was, on that play. Also had a nice tackle on a third down, I think just short of the chains. Cameron Hayward next at 69.9.
Yeah, I thought Hayward, played the run well, and it's been tough for him. But again, as a pass rusher, I don't know how much to blame him for. I'm just getting attention's being drawn this way. Batonio's a really good left guard, been doing this thing. Yeah, Batonio's not missed a snap in 6 years. It's crazy. But
and that guy's good.
And
that Ethan, who's it? Posick,
the center. Yeah,
man, he's really stuck out. At least, and I haven't seen obviously the all 22 from this game. But one thing that got me from going through the first two games of how well I thought he played at center.
Yeah, they showed that one reach block he had during that game last night, and that's their backup or third string center. That was your boy Nick Harris. They were going to have at center T-Rex arms, and he gets hurt, and they got to go to him, and they just keep on churning, and that's a mark of a good, well-coached team. They knew who they are, they know the scheme, and they get the dang job done.
Yeah, the Steelers are certainly, and as we said, the offensive line is a lot better than I thought it would be here. 3 games in.
But how good is it? How good would you actually say it is relative to not expectations, but to the league? I would call it about average.
Yeah, maybe slightly below league average.
Okay, so. I mean, it's better, and I want to give them some credit, but it's also a bit of a product of we thought they'd be horrible, and they're not horrible, and so it's the old Eddie Murphy, is that a saltine kind of thing? So
here's the thing: when you don't have a running back either. Well, I think Warren has the ability to, but when you get that average kind of blocking and pop a couple holes a couple times, you need an explosive play, man. And I think Najee's longest run this year is 11 yards, right?
That sounds about right. So, yeah, I hear that for sure. Warren has a bit more pop and burst. But Harris, the touchdown he had was a powerful run and a good stiff arm. And,
sure.
there was some running room there.
Did Warren see the field again after putting the football on the ground?
I know he did. I don't know how many snaps it was. It probably wasn't many, but he did. I think he did get back out in the field.
Okay.
Now Harrison pass pro was up and down, had that one great flipped over the linebacker that came blitzing, but did miss a pass pro in the second half that led to, I think, the Trubisky sack. So I'll probably charge Harris for the one sack given up in this game.
All right. Anything else we need to discuss before we get to, and we got a ton of reader emails.
Yeah, I think that's about it. But we got to make our picks for week 3, get to our friends at MyBookie, and then we can jump into some reader emails and close out today's show.
All right. Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers, Mac Jones or Lamar Jackson. It's a show of young guns and the old guard, and nothing makes these matchups more exciting than having skin in the game at MyBookie. MyBookie has super contests, survivor pools, and double deposit bonus that gives you everything you need to secure the bag. Getting started is simple. Simply sign up today, use our promo code TERRIBLE, and you'll double your first deposit instantly. And that's just in time for the weekend. Big slate, obviously, of college football. We'll be able to catch our breath a tiny bit, Alex, right? We'll actually be able to watch some Sunday. I'm going to enjoy Sunday, man. I'll obviously have the all 22 running on one TV, but actually get back and maybe sit back and enjoy multiple games on Sunday. NFL action. That's promo code TERRIBLE to double your deposit up to $1,000 with MyBookie. This isn't your grandfather's bookie. This is MyBookie. Put your money where your mouth is and get rewarded for it. Begin your winning season today exclusively at MyBookie, and you get there by going to mybookie.ag. And once again, use promo code TERRIBLE to take advantage of that double deposit bonus of up to $1,000.
All right, Dave, let's make our picks for week 3. You were right. I am a solid 0 for 3 on the year in terms of picking these games. So
I missed the. I mean, I got it straight up. I mean, I got it as far as straight up, but I missed it against the spread overall.
Okay.
Right. I think I had the Steelers covering that, and they obviously didn't here. Baltimore Ravens at the New England Patriots. And by the way, the Baltimore Ravens signed Pierre-Paul.
Yeah.
Right.
I should say just really quickly, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the thought I had was I'm mad about the last play of the game for a couple reasons. Because I had my one possession stat all ready to go for that game, and now it's technically not a one possession game. And also, that is the first official regular season fumble of Najee Harris's career. So that breaks his fumble list streak. He had one in the playoff game. So a very crappy way to go about it on the last play of the game.
Absolutely. All right. The Baltimore Ravens at the New England Patriots. Ravens on the road laying 3 in this one.
Yeah, give me Baltimore. Just too much offensively. I mean, the Patriots front seven. It'll be interesting to see the Patriots run defense against the Ravens rushing attack overall. But Lamar's throwing the ball exceptionally well. So give me the more explosive offense. Give me the Ravens.
I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to take New England Patriots. Not only with the 3 points here, I think the New England can win this out right here. Cincinnati Bengals on the road against the Jets. The New York Flaccos, as I like to say. Bengals. Who are they? Laying 6 against the Jets on the road.
It's been certainly tough for the Bengals. No doubt about that. Week 1, kind of a fluky, funky loss, but lose to Cooper Rush week 2. Pretty crazy. I think the Bengals finally come out of their shell. They can't go 0-3. Bengals win big against the Jets.
I'm with you. I'll take the Bengals lay to 6 in this. Buffalo Bills on the road against the Miami Dolphins. This should be a pretty decent game. Bills laying 5.5 on the road against the Dolphins.
I just saw, and this line may move because the Bills just ruled out both their starting safeties, Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. And now you got to face Waddle, Hill, all those guys. So give me Miami to at least cover this one.
I'll take the Bills. I'll still buy on them until I get a reason not to. Maybe it'll be this game, but I'll take the Bills late to 5.5. Detroit Lions on the road against the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings laying 6. Kirk Cousins went, you only will live once. He almost put that cornerback in the Pro Bowl the other night for the Eagles there. Vikings laying 6 at home against the Lions. I smell a rat here.
Yeah, give it up for the Lions. DeAndre Swift are getting big plays. St. Brown's doing a great job. Give me and your guy Kaminsky is doing pretty well in Detroit right now. He's got a bunch of pressure. So give me the Lions.
I'm with you, Alex. Give me +6 with the Lions there. New Orleans Saints on the road against the Panthers. Saints laying 2.5. Is this the game that gets Rule fired?
We're getting pretty close. Now, the Saints have some issues. Jameis Winston's got that back injury. Kamara should play. Give me the Saints.
Yeah, give me the Saints later 2.5 in this. I'll make that the stone cold lock of the century, of the week, of the day, of the year. Kansas City Chiefs on the road against the Colts. Chiefs laying 5.5 on the road. Boy, Colts, Matt Ryan just aged even more, it feels like.
Yeah, I thought the Colts would be good this year, competitive. Finally get a stability at quarterback going from Wentz to Ryan. Just has not happened. You got to face the Chiefs. Give me the Chiefs.
Give me the Chiefs late to 5.5. Philadelphia Eagles on the road against the Washington Commanders. Eagles laying 6.5 on the road.
It's NFC football. Eagles win, but Commanders cover because football can be weird like that.
That's the way I was leaning with this too. I think the Eagles win, but I think the Commanders get something late that keeps this within the spread here. So I'll take the Commanders +6.5. The Raiders on the road. The Titans are in trouble. The Titans are might be the Steelers of the AFC South. Malik Willis has already seen the field for them. Tannehill, and they're running, and I don't know how long Taylor Lewan's going to be out. Las Vegas Raiders favored by 2 on the road against the Titans.
Yeah, something's telling me to go with Tennessee, but my brain can't get there. I'm going to go with the Raiders.
Yeah, my brain can't get there either. I think Max Crosby has a field day in this one. Give me the Raiders, lay the 2. Texans on the road against the Chicago Bears. I will not be. I'll let you know. Heads up. I will not be watching any of this game.
Yeah, we watch enough bad offense as it is.
Bears laying 3 at home against the Texans. And who gives a you know what?
I'll go Houston. I think Davis Mills is playing decent football, and I don't know. They make some plays late.
This has push written all over it, but I'll take Bears and lay the 3 here. Jaguars on the road against the Chargers, and I guess Herbert's going to play in this one. I don't know. Chargers laying 7 at home against the Jaguars, who have had their moments.
They have. They don't certainly look as lifeless and not nearly, of course, as disjointed under Doug Peterson. Wait, is this a home game for the Chargers?
No, on the home game for the Chargers.
Okay. Give me the Jags to cover, because the Chargers can never play a normal game.
You know what? I will take the Jaguars to not only cover, but I think they can win this one, to be honest.
Wow, Jaguars outright.
Yeah, Jaguars outright. I know that's going out there, but I've been kind of impressed with the little bit that I've seen from the Jaguars already here. All right, Green Bay Packers on the road against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady. Buccaneers laying just 1.
Tampa Bay's been so weird this year in terms of being incredibly run heavy. I know they're missing Mike Evans in this one. The Packers have some issues with injuries with maybe some of their top receivers. Give me who's the better defense. They're 2 pretty good defenses. Give me Tampa Bay just for them having a slightly better defense.
That's exactly why I'm going that same way. Buccaneers cover the 1. Falcons on the road against the Seahawks. Seahawks laying 1 against the Falcons. Battle of the Birds.
Yeah, another game I won't be watching. Really don't have a great feel either way right now. It's in Seattle?
Mm-hmm.
Give me the Seahawks then.
Yeah, give me the Seahawks. Lay the 1 at home. Rams at the Cardinals. Rams laying 3.5 on the road against the Cardinals.
Wild game for Arizona on that crazy comeback. So can they do that again? I mean, give me the Rams.
You know what? Give me the Cardinals plus the points in this one. Plus 3.5. Okay. San Francisco 49ers with Garoppolo now on the road against Russell Wilson and the Broncos. 49ers laying 1.5 on the road.
Wow. How about that? Yeah, give me the 49ers. They're just a better team right now with Garoppolo, and unfortunate what happened to Trey Lance with that ankle, or 2 ankle injuries, I guess it was. And Russell Wilson, it does not look good. I mean, they got a win last week, but barely. So give me the 49ers.
You know what? Give me the Broncos for the upset at home here against the 49ers. I'll take the 1.5. Dallas Cowboys on the road against the G-Men, who are surprisingly, undefeated, right? Giants laying 1 at home against Dallas.
Oh, this one's tough. Something's telling me go Dallas. I don't know. Cooper Rush got the job done last week. Give me the Cowboys.
I'm not. I'm going to take the G-Men. I'll lay the 1. And let's see, is that it? That's it of the slate right there. And all right. I guess let's see, I guess the Monday night game is Dallas at the Giants there. So, all right, we should get to some emails, shouldn't we?
Yep, let's get to reader emails and close out today's show.
All right, strap up, Alex. Matthew Toretta writes in, Dave and Alex, longtime follower of the show and first-time emailer. All right, Matthew, where you been? If you haven't already, could you break down Trubisky's middle-of-the-field throws Thursday night versus the Browns? All of them seem to come very late in the game, and curious why they didn't try to utilize that area more, given that the Browns had backup linebackers in. Also, Brissett looked very solid last night. Would the Steelers have been better with someone like him this year, or would it have mattered given the fact that Matt Canada is the OC? It's a chicken and egg question, but I as we said earlier in the show, and Alex was the Brissett fan club leader here. It's been more than one season, hasn't it?
I mean, I think this game's been interesting. I mean, to me with Brissett, it was a little less about his play, but more dot connecting, given the connections that he had. Matt Canada coached him at NC State, had some really good, seasons down there. So that was the thought there. In terms of the question, I'll have to go back and look at the tape. I think the tight ends were used to help out on Myles Garrett some, so that may have been a bit limiting. And, would it be different if Brissett was the quarterback? Maybe on the margins, but if you're, Brissett, if Brissett didn't have the run game that he has, his play would probably be a lot different. It's a lot better when you can, play on schedule and work on play action and things like that. So maybe slightly better, but it's not going to change the record of this team.
And about the middle of the field throws, Matthew, it's about, that's been something we've been talking about forever and a day, but I think you are right with and once again, I've only seen the TV tape so far, but it does seem like 2 or 3 of those, not many middle of the field throws did come very, very late in the game. Right?
Yeah, now I agree. Freiermuth, didn't do anything until late in that game. Now Trubisky said he didn't see a lot of single high. Said he saw a lot of 2 high, cover 6. So, there might have been some opportunities. We'll have to go back and check the tape.
Nicholas Gooden writes in, "Hey guys, hope I get this in time. Got a hot take for you. It feels to me like the Steelers are approaching their game plans with too much structure. I always think about how Mike T and others love using the phrase engineering a victory. I think they try to do too much engineering versus just trusting the talent of their players and letting them play more free. I think this engineering a victory mindset is a big reason why they always seem to be in every game, which is a good thing, but I also think it's why they never are able to win comfortably. This team has plenty of talent. You got to just let the talent start doing more of the work, especially if the O-line is going to keep playing as good or better than they did last night." He wants our thoughts on this. Does Mike Tomlin basically try to lay out and engineer the perfect, the perfect scenario and stick to that, basically?
Yeah, well, to be honest, in week 2, I think that was pretty true. I thought they were really rigid and structured and very easy to scout, and that was a large issue in that game. I thought against the Browns, they opened up the offense more, and guys were given the chance to make plays, and sometimes they didn't. Deontay Johnson being a great example of that on that 3rd down drop. So I thought that was less of an issue against the Browns than it was against the Patriots.
Nicholas, my answer to that's going to be 1 of 9 on 3rd down.
Right. What do you engineer when your offense is in some manageable situations at that?
Devin Beerley writes in, "Thanks for the phonetic. You guys do like Devin here, and give me some phonetic pronunciation of your names. Hi guys, thanks for all your hard work. What do you see as the Steelers' run defense problems? They seemingly have the personnel and coaches, but to continue to struggle without seeing the all 22 yet from just this Browns game alone. They got manhandled up front. They got out executed. We'll have to see about maybe some gap issues or whatnot. Obviously, missed tackles, reared their ugly head more than a few times in this game. And man, Nick Chubb's a beast, man. That guy carried the pile, I don't know how many times in this game, and turned 3 yards into 8 yards, right? Hunt too, for that matter.
Sure. I don't think there's going to be a lot. There's no big brain answer here of this. Here's the hidden reason why the Steelers run defense struggled. They couldn't get off blocks. They missed tackles. They were on the field too much. They got tired. There's personnel issues as well. It's kind of all the above, but there is no hidden reason why this run defense has been poor in this game in particular, because they just got out. They did not get off blocks. They did not make tackles, and the Browns were the more physical, dominant team.
And then they just, they were worn out at the end of the game. They were just getting run downhill in that second half on. Lance Sampson writes in, "Hi, David Knox. Doom, gloom, despair. Hi, guys. I know you will probably have covered a lot of the questions I'm bound to ask by the time you read this, but I want to ask your thoughts on Tomlin punting on 4th and 6 from your own 10-yard line." Boy, Lance knows us well, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
With only 4 minutes left in the game and down by 2 scores, it seems like that decision is playing losing ball. I know we are good, Alex. We are the Johnny Carsons of Steelers podcast. We have the answers out there before we get the question.
I barely know I knew who that is, but barely. So
man, Johnny Carson
talk
back
show
in the day, the Tonight Show, Ed McMahon. That's that and the old David Letterman Late Show were growing up, the must see. I know the offense had not been successful, particularly in the fourth, but due to the time remaining in the game, it really seems strange to me to kick it there and then ultimately rely on the onside kick later in the game. Lance, as you probably know by now, we really kind of addressed that earlier in the show. Thank you for the email. Jay Schmidt writes in, hey guys, can you make sense? Isn't Jay Schmidt our Malik Reed guy? I think it is. He says, hey guys, can you make sense of why Canada saw how successful the no huddle offense was in the second quarter and then completely gets away from it until the Steelers are down 9 points late in the game? He says, I'm done. I'm so done with him. The running game was going well in up tempo as well. Then I guess he decided to protect a 1 point lead. I understand there were some drops and a penalty, but why stop what was working? At least he kept the defense spread in the red zone, which results in two TDs. I'm sure against the Jets, he'll get back to the useless jumbo sets if that up too, he says. Look, I mean, they did have it was good to see him go up tempo, and Mike Tomlin said in the sit down with Bob Labriola that sometimes you can quell the crowd, but how fast do you want them going? They can't go 3 and out any faster, Jason.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. The couple issues are there's only so many plays you might be able to run or call, and there are communication issues. But really, the central problem was you just went 3 and out. I mean, to go no huddle and tempo, you got to get into a rhythm. You got to get some, a couple plays put together, a first down or two, kind of get yourself going. And when you have penalties, when you have incompletion, stuff like that, you never really get that opportunity to pick up the tempo. And so that to me is the bigger problem is you got to get that snowball rolling. And on those drives, you had penalties, you had drops, you had combat catches that were missed. And so I don't really fault them as much for that. I get the point, and you would like to see that, but you got to get that first step. And the Steelers offense in those moments could not get that first step to get the up tempo part rolling.
Just how quick were those 3 and outs? I mean, they seemed to go really quick, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, I can give you the times if you want here in a moment. I mean, they were about a minute or so on each drive. Obviously, the 3 and outs, they're pretty quick.
Let's look at the possession chart real quick here.
Let's not. Oh no, it's brutal. I mean, they did not possess the ball much at all in this game. The Browns had the ball for 36 minutes, but it's been 3 straight games that the opposition has had 33 plus minutes time of possession. I mean, that's just unacceptable.
All right, 127. 57 seconds and 111.
Yeah, and then that's 125 on their field goal drive.
Right, 125 on their field. Yeah, they barely possessed the ball in the fourth quarter at all. In fact, let's see, what is it? 9 seconds at the end of the game. 125. I mean, we're talking about 236. 336 minus 3 would be 333. 333 in 9 seconds is what? 342. They possessed the football 3 minutes and 42 seconds in the fourth quarter.
That sounds about right. And that's it was like the Pats game. Just fourth quarter, Pats had the ball the whole time. Fourth quarter yesterday, Browns had the ball the whole fourth quarter.
Jeff Berg. 'Twas the beginning of a very long season, a book by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Should losing one player be this catastrophic to a defense? The Browns were losing players and were missing players on their D, and they held their own. Looks like Mitch passed up easy first downs again underneath. Did y'all notice that on the TV tape? Here's the hoping not being 1-7 going into the bye, but it's starting to look that way.
Well, I will say last week it was, why is Mitch taking the easy check down underneath? And how this week it's, why is he not taking the easy check down underneath? So I thought Trubisky, the philosophy was fine. They wanted to take more vertical shots. They have to do so. There were opportunities. The big play to Pickens, Johnson would-be catch. I'm not really faulting Trubisky for a lot of that mindset overall. And again, I have to go back and watch the tape to really better and fully evaluate these things. So I think that's a little hindsight there.
What was the play that someone was wide open on that everybody was screaming on?
There was the Pickens catch. Claypool might have been open middle of the field. Actually did look open, but I'm looking at screen grabs and not actual football.
Was that the one that everybody was hollering about the most?
I believe so. That's the one that I saw. I can't think of another play in which there was somebody else open, but
All right.
I'd have to go back and check.
Simon Short writes in, happy Friday. If you were someone that hadn't watched the preseason, you might say Dan Moore Jr. picked up right where he had left off at the end of last year in terms of development. But obviously in the preseason, we saw him struggle immensely. Do you guys think it was just him adjusting to the Pat Myers system and he was able to get himself ready just in time for week one? Or could it be consistently now having Dotson next to him instead of the back and forth with Green that has helped his play? Look, I mean, he's doing a lot better job hand fighting. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, his independent hand use and strikes have been a lot better. It probably really is a comfort thing when you have a new offensive line coach and, he's teaching things a bit differently, especially in terms of your punch and how you strike and high-low hands and things like that. There's going to be an adjustment period. And I thought that was the biggest issue he had in the preseason was not using that one-hand strike, one-hand punch enough, and the two-hand punch was ineffective. And he's gotten more comfortable. So that to me is probably the biggest thing, just repping it and getting more comfortable within the system.
Take your lumps from Paul Brown. Dave and Alex, what a terrible second half performance from the Pittsburgh Steelers. The most unnerving thing about the game was seeing shades from last year. They couldn't stop the run. Can you quickly break down why the Steelers continue to have run defense issues even when they heavily invested in defensive line depth and added a middle linebacker? All this combined, Miles Jack's going to have like 150 tackles or something this year, isn't he?
He has 35 tackles through 3 games. That is the most tackles through 3 games by a Steeler since at least 1987. The furthest back the stats, tackling stats get tracked. So he's on basically pace to set a record.
We'll know more about the Browns game in particular, Paul Brown, after we get the all 22. It's, but let me tell you that once again, that offensive line and both those backs, that's a chore right there. That's going to easily be the best running team this defense faces all year.
And they did a good job last year. So I just wonder what the difference was in terms of last year. The run defense was terrible. They minimized the Browns in both of those games. They could not do so. But the Browns have what the Steelers want. And that's really the best way I can sum up these two teams.
He says all this combined with an offense that didn't look bad the first half, only to come out predictable, flat-footed, and mistake-ridden in the second half. While I'd like to see Pickett out there, Mitch wasn't the reason the Steelers lost on Monday Night Football, but I think it means Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, I don't think Trubisky was a central reason. Now, again, there's mistakes, and second half play is going to be scrutinized as it should be. But, I got a half dozen other issues before I look at Mitch Trubisky.
Jesse Hernandez, 2 questions. Trubisky hasn't been as horrible as much of the media has sansed him, except for the unnecessary sacks, which Alex has already pointed out. But something else I noticed is he tends to drift a lot outside and in the pocket. Does that bother you as well? Yeah, look, his pocket presence has never been the best anyway. And some of his, as we mentioned, some of his mechanics, some of the back foot stuff there. He says, yeah, it's great when it works, but I can't see it being substantial. And second question is, all the media keeps saying give Trubisky more time and not throw the rookie in. But yeah, it was only preseason, but besides a sack on a 4th and a rollout, it seems like he just takes command, processes, and hits the wide receivers accurately with, wait a minute, what does he say? He says, second question is, all the media keeps saying give Trubisky more time and not throw the rookie in. But yeah, it was only preseason. But besides the sack on a 4th and a rollout, seems he just takes command, processes, and hits the wide receivers accurately with yak consistently. What are your thoughts? I feel he would deprive this offense right away. In other words, I guess he's saying, I feel he would updrive this offense right away. I don't get which angle he's going there.
He's just saying they should play Pickett because Pickett played well in the preseason and he's more decisive, more accurate. And so I get that. And I understand that. You guys know my thoughts, but again, Tomlin will be patient. And while I think I would like to go to Pickett, it's not going to transform this team's season. No. I don't think.
I mean, all you're going to do is start the clock on him earlier,
Right.
Which they're going to get to at some point, I have a feeling. And look, and I hit this on my terrible take just yesterday was the fact that keep hollering for Matt Canada to get fired, but this team has never fired an offensive coordinator. I think your best bet is maybe him taking the Adrian Clem route out of town, saying, I'm out of here. I'm going back to the college game. It's not going to be pretty moving forward. None of this is, especially on the offensive side of football. Your best case scenario here is you have to have a defense show up like you had show up against the Bengals. You get multiple turnovers. You get short fields. You play some half-ass defenses, and you win 23-20.
I agree. That's their quote-unquote blueprint.
And if you able to run Matt Canada out of town before then, good on you. It's coming to an end after this season, right? We've already agreed on that.
Yes, barring some sort of drastic change, even for the stagnant Steelers, I think you have to make a change there.
Right. Just you better hope that Matt quits. Brandon writes in, narrator, you're traveling through another dimension, a dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. A journey back to 2019 when the Steelers offense neither worked nor succeeded. That's the signpost up ahead. Your next stop, the Twilight Zone. He says, I tried tempering my expectations, but holy cow, that offense stinks. So more of a contact from a comment from Brandon.
I liked your voiceover there. That got me.
You like that? My Rod Sterling, my Rod Sir, is it Serling or Sterling?
I have no idea.
I'm showing my age here.
A lot in this episode. Johnny Carson. Yeah, you're gonna watch Sunday Night Football in black and white television, probably.
You ought to see me walk with a cane up and down the stairs.
You are the oldest person I know.
Yeah, Chris from Old Bridge, New Jersey. I know. I used to be church softball guy too, and all that like that. You wouldn't even know it now, Alex.
To be fair, I am the second oldest person I know, so I'm right behind you in spirit.
I am very proud of how you've aged. I am.
Why are you proud of that?
You're turning into a mini me.
Oh, should I be scared?
Yeah. So should the people listening to this. Chris from Old Bridge, New Jersey. I know it may take a few days for the All-22 to come out, but why didn't we get a tight end target in this game prior to garbage time down 10 plus under 2 minutes? Was it forcing the balls deep to the wide receiver? Now it's forcing the balls deep now, right?
Right.
The worm's turning now. Why too many checkdowns? Throw it deep. He throws it deep. Oh, why aren't they going short? Was it forcing the balls deep to the wide receivers or Brown's scheme? And to piggyback off my question last week that you answered, yes, the half rollouts or conservative second and long sets up third and manageable. However, this offense hasn't been successful, especially in the second half and third, and extremely manageable. Yeah, look, I mean, we've talked about that. 3rd and 5 and less, and they're not converting those. He says, my second question, have Cam and Tyson made any impact? I know they have been on the field so much, but the D has been somewhat worn down in the second half. Also, Cleveland has a very good interior, but I feel like I haven't seen much from Cam. He's my favorite player. I don't mean to bash him. Look, when you don't have TJ Watt on that field, you can divert your attention other directions.
Yeah. He's had some good matchups, seen some double teams. I mentioned, I think as a run stuffer, Hayward's done well, but as a pass rusher, it has been quiet. And I mean, he probably can do better, needs to do better. I mean, there's a lot on him right now, but he's getting a lot of attention as well. So, one man can't do it all, unfortunately.
As far as the tight end goes, I think Alex is probably on this. We'll have to count the times though. How much did Freiermuth have to stay in and help Chip and, those kind of things there? Obviously, even so, I think you got to make a concerted effort to get Freiermuth involved in the game a lot earlier than they did.
Sure. I'm with you. I'm just want to look at the stats here on 3rd down between 1 and 5, and this is updated from last night. So on 3rd and 1 and 5, the Steelers are averaging 2.5 yards per play, and they're converting at just 41.7% of that time. That is both bottom third numbers in football. So as you talked about, the third manageable situations are not being converted.
All right, one last one, and we got a lot in here. I'm sorry if we can't get to all these, but Craig McKinney writes in, Fire Tomlin. Long-time listener, first-time emailer. All right, Greg, first-time email. I got it.
Coming in hot on this one.
Ooh, yeah. First-time emailer would fire Tomlin in the subject line. I guess he's mad as hell, and he lives in Canton, it looks like here. Long-time listener, first-time email, because I had to. He says, enough is enough. When are we finally going to realize this belief that Tomlin is a top 5 coach in the NFL is wrong? Hasn't won a playoff game since 2016. Haven't been in a Super Bowl in over 10 years. Tomlin has been a product of a Hall of Fame quarterback, and we are seeing that now more than ever. He says, furthermore, what does he bring to the table? Sean McVay, Andy Reid, brilliant offensive minds. Bill, one of the great X's and O's coach of all time. Tomlin is supposedly, he's talking about Bill Belichick. Tomlin is supposedly a great defensive coach. And as we've seen without TJ, we have been crap. A wonderful wordsmith, but great coach, ? He has constantly blown clock management decisions. His decisions tonight to not go for it on 2 separate occasions cost us the game, especially early in the third quarter when we were actually driving the ball, but for Chuk's penalty, that killed the drive. Finally, what has sent myself and fellow fans over the edge is his ineptitude of understanding when something isn't working to pull the eject button. The offense is not working, period, and his inability to make adjustments time after time has finally sent me over the edge. He's gone over the edge twice, I think, here.
he went over, he came back, and then he went over again. Don't
make me laugh, Alex. Now, I know you both won't agree with this. I had to get this off my chest. I don't know what to tell you, Craig. Personnel obviously has a lot to do with it in here, and they, the defense is severely impacted by one player for sure. He's not going anywhere.
No, he's not. We'll just, not that I'm going to probably ever call for it at the end of this year, but let's just see where the rest of this year goes. They were 1-3 last year and the season turned around. Now, can that happen again? I'm certainly not optimistic that it will, but it's a long season. It can be pretty crazy. So before we start calling for firings for anybody, let's just see how the rest of this year plays out.
But we both agree right now, we might have overshot on 8-9 as we sit here right now. And as I said before the season, if this team somehow makes the playoffs, they should immediately build a statue of Mike Tomlin outside Acrisure.
Well, if they make the playoffs now, they should rename the stadium Mike Tomlin Stadium, because that feels like climbing Everest at this point.
Mike Tomlin Stadium brought to you by Acrisure.
Right. No, Mike Tomlin Stadium brought to you by also Mike Tomlin, who led this team in the playoffs stadium, because that'd be monumental effort. So, yeah, eight wins feels like best case scenario. But again, this team 1-3 last year. They turn it around. Tomlin's teams are resilient. I know people don't want to hear that, but they are. Does that mean that, the playoff drought is obviously abysmal and certainly a fair critique of Mike Tomlin, probably the most accurate one and best one you could offer of him, the overall results, but he's not getting fired.
Speaking of TJ Watt, they showed some pregame stuff, and even our Dr. Melanie Friedlander was impressed with kind of he was out there, looked like going through a normal workout. To be I'm obviously not at games to see what he normally goes through, but seemed to be some optimism there. Maybe they can get him back after 4 games missed. I don't know.
Maybe, but doing some sprints feels different than bench press and a tackle. So sure. I don't know.
All right. We'll end with the Fire Tomlin email. Sorry if we did not get to your emails, but as you can imagine, we got a full inbox here. Maybe rebump them things and resend them to me for Monday. And we'll obviously by then have the rest of the weekend to give you a better breakdown of what went right and what went wrong after we see the all 22, which should hopefully be dropping any time here, right? That feels like Christmas, man. Every time that you look in there and that all 22's there. You think
it'll be Christmas? You think it'll be more coal in your stocking after?
I don't know. You know how it is. You go through that. And there's always something.
I'm always late to it. You guys get to jump on it first. Well, I got to be the one, throwing the wrapping paper away because I'm charting 81 plays a game. So when the tape comes out, you guys are all having fun. I'm going, all right, they lined up at left defensive end. That's my life. So
we're like that SpongeBob looking through the.
Yeah, you're running. You and like Josh Carney are running and having fun, and I'm Squidward looking out doing my monotonous charting. I'm mad at Tom. Me and Tom need to switch because he has it easy.
Yeah, he's only doing 50-something plays a game.
He's done in 5 minutes. I'm sitting there burning midnight oil.
In fact, the way it's going right now, he could probably chart the second half from memory. Washington copy. There's your copy and paste, Alex. Right there. Look, we understand a lot of you guys are disappointed with team losing and all like that, 1-2, and the doom, gloom, and agony of Dave and Alex on this podcast. But hopefully we like learning about the game as well too. We like to learn what went right, what went wrong, and if this thing continues going in a negative direction, use it to learn more about the game like we are. I mean, you never know enough about this game. And I hope you people see that or hear it on the podcast. And, we try to look at this thing as objectively as possible. It's been the goal of Steelers Depot right from the start, within all that. And hopefully all of our content, kind of displays that as well too. We want to break these games down and these film rooms and these articles and all like that, and be as objective as possible and everybody learn as we go along here. So that's kind of our goal here. And we should have a lot of great content coming the rest of the weekend on into Monday. And that's when Alex and I will be back. So in the meantime, you can follow me on Twitter at Steelers Depot. Follow Alex on Twitter at Alex_Kozora. Follow the show at Terrible Podcast. Email the show, theterriblepodcast@gmail.com. If you like what we do and want to donate to the cause, SteelersDepot.com. Hit the donate button, upper right navigational bar. Also, there's an ad-free version of the site you can purchase for $25. Find that upper right-hand corner of the site as well, too. Good job, Alex. I know we're both running on fumes right now, but that's what we do. And everybody enjoy the rest of the weekend and some football. We'll be back on there at you on Monday. So until then, as always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast with Dave and Alex.